Okay guys, so in this module we're going to talk about basically what is sales, how to get higher of a sales rate, and what actually converts in the most simplest way. We don't want to go too advanced just yet, okay? We want to keep things simple and tell you exactly what makes sales and what works. So over the past many years since I first got started and learning different stuff, and I didn't just dive in deep into sales. I've gone deep into all sections of internet marketing, even social stuff, health, and sales and business, and it goes on and on. And I want to show you this. These are just some cards just for sales, okay? This card says Power of Persuasion right there, and there's just more. I mean, this is money to me. Some people organize what they do and how they take notes and stuff on maybe Notepad or in their phone or take pictures. This is how I do it. It's just what works for me. I got so many notes, okay, about different topics. It's crazy. It's actually taking over certain areas of my living spaces. But I have perfectly organized everything. So this is just a sum of the cards about sales. And from my knowledge, I'm not just going to read these cards and stuff, but I like to refer back to my cards for insane knowledge, okay? Because it's the most condensed knowledge I've found that I have discovered is the best, okay? And I write it down for that reason. And then I sort it and I keep it. So let's go on a rant here and talk about sales for a minute. Ultimately, the most simple framework, just to start you off into the Sales God program, is the cognitive biases. And I have a whole program based off cognitive biases, but we're going to go in depth on a few very powerful ones inside this program, okay? I've been through another program, and I highly recommend this. It's called Sales God as well by Jason Capital, okay? And my program is not going to be anything the same, okay? His goes on with his own content, his own stories, his own tips. Mine's completely different. This program's completely different. And I want you to know he dives a lot into mainly using cognitive biases for dating, which is very powerful stuff. But then he also applies it to sales and business and stuff too. So what I wanted to talk about, the ultimate, most simple framework of sales is these few tips I want to give you right now. Number one, authority bias, okay? Authority bias. That's one of the 25 biases. And I've discovered this, and throughout my journey, I tested and I freaked out about for a while, maybe urgency or scarcity biases, okay? Social proof bias, which social proof bias is up there with authority bias, okay? There's ones like Kantian fairness, like everyone wants life to be fair type thing. And it is fair because everyone has that ingrained in their brain. That's a very powerful bias to use. Reciprocity bias is another powerful one, but authority bias, guys, above all is the number one cognitive bias, okay? Because in sales, when someone is buying from someone who they don't know, like, or trust, that's non-authoritative, okay? And someone's not gonna buy, okay, from that person that they don't see authority in, okay? When you have authority, and I'm talking about you as the salesperson, if you have authority, you will sell beyond anything, okay? And I'll have a whole module on just authority because I want you to know that authority bias is that number one thing that trumps every training, everything out there to teach you sales. Is if you build authority, and I will talk about how to actually tactically build authority, okay, in whatever niche or space you want to be in, okay, or product you sell, this is the number one thing is authority bias, okay? The next thing is building connection, okay? And that is done through story and conflict, okay, with the character or the salesperson. So stories sell, and the story doesn't have to be your story, but if you're the person selling it, it can help a lot, okay? Because someone has to trust you, your company, and your product, okay? They have to trust three things, and that's very important, and they can trust them through a lot of different cognitive biases. Stacking, which is Lollapalooza, which is actually the number one cognitive bias, is Lollapalooza bias, which is combining as many biases as you can for the sole purpose of persuading someone to buy. But stories sell. So what's the structure of a story? It's got character, okay, or characters, and then it has conflict, okay? And conflict can be in three areas, okay? Health, wealth, or love. It can be a health conflict, a wealth conflict, or a love life conflict. This is truth. That's a powerful thing to understand. Next is there needs to be a desire inside a story, okay? Now there are four desires, okay? To win, to retrieve, to stop, and to escape, okay? You'll notice most story frameworks are to win, okay, or to achieve something. If you look at horror movies, those are to escape. If you look at, what's one for stop? I'm not sure, but retrieve is another one as well, okay? So those are the four. And this framework is very powerful for you to create your stories, but your story could be, when you're selling something, like I'm gonna be honest, like it could be a true story, a non-true story, but geared towards, and I know of copywriters who, and I've done this before, who write stories for a product or an affiliate offer they promote or something they're doing. They'll write a story that's so great, it gets sales like crazy, and it's a not fully true story. Maybe it's happened to someone before, but it gets sales, okay? It's not geared as a testimonial. You could have disclaimers that say this is a non-true story or something. But if you look at cartoons and movies, a lot of them are not true stories. There's some that are. But anyway, that's my point. It could be a testimonial of someone that is them telling their story, or you're telling their story for them. It could be your story, okay, using the product. Now, when selling something, you want to have a story that sells it, or a story that's selling yourself, a story that sells your company. You know, the why behind things is actually what makes connection and trust and gets a sale a lot of times. But it's not just that one thing. And that's what we need to understand from this program, is it's not necessarily one thing, it's a combination of stuff, okay? Different elements that build trust, likability, and rapport, okay? And, you know, ultimately, you got to get people to know you, which is the marketing, then people to trust you and like you. That's sales, okay? When someone buys from you, they're more likely to buy something from you again, as long as they got value. This is super important in sales. It's never okay as a salesman to sell only one time. You need to sell again and again and again. Okay, so sales is a very powerful concept that we got to keep talking about here. So first, authority bias is a very powerful one. Just to keep everything simple, that's what this video is about. These are the top things. Authority bias, then stories that sell, and then the next one. What should I say for the next one? I did have it planned. Oh, there it is. The big promise. People are not necessarily buying something just to buy it. People are buying a solution, or more importantly, a result, okay? So when you use this in your marketing, you will get more sales, and you know what to do with a lot, okay? It's crazy. So authority bias, then story, and then guaranteeing a result, okay? It's called the big promise or the big domino statement. But basically what it is, it's basically saying you will get this result in X amount of time, or this will solve blank, or this is the solution to blank. And you can come across that way and tell what the result can be, basically an inception type way, by leveraging the power of telling a story, okay? So in a story, the more horrible the conflict, the more you will sell. The more you will sell every time. If it's a weak little conflict, like I stubbed my toe, that's not like a great conflict. Like, you need to have a crazy conflict. Death can be a very powerful conflict, but when you tell a story, it needs to be like detailed, you need to have emotion, and you need to definitely go big into the backstory. And there are frameworks for this, but in general, just tell a story like you always tell a story, or read a book about how to tell stories. I got books all around me about how to tell stories. But keeping it simple is what I've discovered is the best, and knowing each part of the framework, okay? Character, conflict, backstory. There's different types of stories. There's the transformation or the achievement path, and then there's the 4 different desire types, okay? And to form a good story, you need to know what you're selling, or if you're selling yourself, basically, you need to think about what is the desire or a time in your life where you had a conflict, a big conflict, and you need to apply that to your product in some way, okay? Or like a conflict of a testimonial or someone who used the product that you sell, okay? This is huge. Or you can tell a made-up story, which can be very effective and powerful, okay? So that is just so key, guys. I can't explain how key this is by far. But anyway, results. So why do people really buy is, at the end of the day, the offer. The offer is like not just the features or the benefits. The benefit is more important than the feature, though. The person selling the product is more important than a lot of things. Well, ultimately, imagine a few scenarios here, okay? Let's say an unauthoritative person is selling a product that guarantees the same result, they say, as the authority that is, guaranteeing a certain result, okay? The authority will sell better, okay, because they have trust and likability and stuff, okay, selling the thing that guarantees the result. But people don't believe the non-authority, so way less sales happen. So that's that scenario. Let's say that a non-authority basically is telling a story and they're guaranteeing a result. They're going to have a little bit more sales. This is why it's powerful to stack cognitive biases. But without authority, guys, this is my point. The elevation to how many sales you will get is very low, okay, if you do not have authority bias working for you as a salesman, or if you are not the salesman and you're setting up a campaign or marketing behind something, you should leverage authority bias, okay, in your marketing for what you sell of other people's authority, okay? let's get advanced on this other cognitive bias here. It's called association bias. When you have association to an authority that's associated to your product, you will sell a lot more too. So this is like a huge hack, okay, to sales. So you can basically associate an authority to your product. How do you do that? Like LeBron James is associated to, what's it called? The Beats, okay, the Beats earphones, and also the Sprite soda. And, you know, Warren Buffett's connected to like freaking Coca-Cola, Elon Musk with Tesla, and all these companies are associated with massive authorities, okay? And some of these authorities own the companies. But there's a lot of times, like the LeBron James example, where he doesn't own the company, but he is paid to endorse. You don't have to pay someone to endorse something. You can basically have them on your sales page or something, or just mention them in your sales presentations when you talk about your product. You can basically mention these authorities, okay? It's so powerful to do that. I cannot explain, like Tai Lopez is a master at that. He leverages association bias all the time, especially when he first got started, and it's become a part of his like natural communication patterns, which is really cool. He'll just mention quotes of authorities and stuff, and it just people are like, oh wow, whoa, what the, and people just associate those authorities to him now. Does that make sense? So you get elevated due to that fact. Now let's talk about something that's even more accelerated and more powerful than even just authority bias alone. It's something called celebrity authority bias. Okay, so you know The Rock. He's powerful, okay, with that. Donald Trump has massive celebrity / authority bias. These are just perfect examples of this because these people have massive influence. It's crazy. There are women that have this and men, okay, both sides. So this is very powerful, but there's maybe a few thousand in the world that have celebrity / authority. So it's not easy to get, but what you can do is you can associate an authority, someone who's an expert at something, to a celebrity using association bias. So I'm kind of going on a rant about association bias plus authority, but at the end of the day, what gets sales more than anything, okay, I'm just going to throw 4 things out here. Authority bias, stories, and results, okay? And then number 4 is risk reversal. Reversing the risk is huge. As humans, we are naturally risk averse. We are very scared to take the leap forward or to buy something if there's a little bit of risk involved, okay? Or if there's a lot, it takes a little bit more persuasion and more Lollapalooza, and a lot of times more familiarity bias and likability, which takes more time, like with the salesman, okay, to buy, or with the company. On average, it takes like 7 freaking times for someone just to click on an ad after seeing it. That's on average. A lot of people click on the first time, and a lot of people click on the 10th, okay? But in general, if someone spends over like 7 hours with you, they're more likely to buy from you. If you're a male, okay, and you're trying to date a girl and, you know, get to know her a little more, if you spend on average 7 hours with her, some girls are easier, some girls are not, type thing. And there are actually accelerated ways, and I'm going to tell you this right now since you're in the acceleration program. You can sleep with girls extremely fast, okay? Very attractive girls. If you have authority bias, and this is what I'm getting to, is like, it shines through in all areas, like sales, the skill, it applies to dating, to social, and to sales and business and everything, okay, and even marketing. And basically, you know, I've experienced this in my own life. Like, you can basically, if a girl knows you are ready, likes you, and trusts you, you can have a super high chance with her. It's called status elevation, and in the dating world, and I could talk about this stuff all day because this is something most of you guys don't know about me. If you learn about me from business or marketing or sales, is I know a lot about, you know, dating and stuff like that. But anyway, it's called status elevation. So girls want to status up, okay? And that's the only time they really mate with someone. If someone's below the status of them in their perceived value, the male will actually usually have to pay. Now, if you look at like monkeys, when they understand the value of maybe a grape they're given, okay, the monkeys will start trading females for sex, okay? It's pretty crazy stuff. But females, what happens, and I could go on about this, but this is a great example for sales, okay? And this is selling a product. People buy if there's a status increase for them, okay, associated with the product. An authority and a celebrity is a status increase. Knowledge and intelligence is a status increase. Good looks and beauty is a status increase. All these things are status increases, okay? Style can be a status increase. Symbols of status can be status increases. So all this tied to your product is huge. Anyway, that's how people buy is one thing. People buy into a status increase. Social proof is a status increase. Okay, like a lot of people liking something. Scarcity is a status increase. I could go on. Now tie that around yourself as a person in authority. You're gonna have a better dating life, better social life, better sales, and way more money. It's just how it works. So, like, let's say you show a girl, this is even better. This is called warm traffic. Let's say a girl, she recommends to her friend or shows her friend your Instagram profile, and your Instagram profile has more followers than that girl. Okay, by a lot or a little, doesn't really matter how much more, because they just want to status up. It's just totally in the back of their mind, and back of any person's mind, is they always want to status up. So what happens is your trust and likability in her eyes goes through the roof, and anything you say is perceived as very, very valuable to her. So when you know more biases, this is just a shortcut to decision making for anyone. You can basically have higher chances of sales and getting the sale with a girl, or getting the sale for your products and services. This is powerful stuff. And then reversing the risk in all areas of anything when you do persuasion is huge. So reverse the risk. And a good example of reversing the risk is like guarantees, refund stuff, like very minimal effort needed, okay, or very little, there's nothing to lose here type thing. That's powerful, okay, in sales. So those are the 4 like simple things. I did add association bias in there, but hopefully you guys love this video. I'm sure you did. Now let's move on to the next one.